Well, hello everyone. This is a first time I've attempted to do a screen capture video, trying out a new software that allows me to show my computer desktop and also speak at the same time. Let me introduce myself. My name is Dan Seitzinger. I'm a born and raised artist from California. I dabble in photography and digital art as well as traditional art. So I consider myself a mixed media artist. I sometimes refer to myself as a experimental mixed media artist because I like to try different techniques of making art and paintings. So I paint traditionally in acrylic paint or in oil paint. I've done some pastel artwork. If you're not familiar with pastels, they're sort of like chalk and crayons. So there's two kinds of pastels. There's chalk pastels and there's oil pastels. The difference between the oil pastel and the crayons that maybe children draw with is they're usually softer. The artist grade are softer, so it's easier to blend. I consider myself mostly a landscape artist. Not as much a floral artist or a person who does portraits, although I'm capable of doing that. I have drawn in pencil portraits, and I probably will start doing some more work with people and portrait work and more floral work. So anyway, this is my website. It's at www.danseitzinger.com, and that's spelled DANSEITZINGER. And as you can see, my website is filled with a array of my both paintings, digital art, and photography. I do have some of that there too, and I do have a preview window here with some of my gallery stuff here. But if you click on this image gallery, you will see that I do have a gallery itself that you can go to see my work, past and current. And then I also have a place here for my YouTube videos, so under videos, where it shows my most recent or most recently uploaded video. I have not gotten real serious about teaching, but I have done a few private lessons with people. I do have some rates here for doing that if people are interested. The thing is, I can't travel. I don't travel out of state, so it would have to be here in the Bay Area. But of course, with the miracle of internet and the World Wide Web, if anyone calls it that anywhere, we can go online and do a lot of teaching that way as well. A lot of people don't realize that I really like music and that I play both guitar, a little bit of guitar and piano. I'm not the best pianist or the best guitarist, but I do love music and musical instruments, and I have done a lot of custom guitars, painted, and different kinds of custom finishes. I'm kind of known for my holographic finishes. If you click on this, it'll take you to my Pinterest page where it shows a lot of the guitars that I've custom done. Anyway, if you have a chance to go to my website, check it out, and you're welcome to add yourself to subscribe to my newsletter, and I would be happy to keep in contact with you that way. And you can also follow me through Facebook. I do have a Facebook page here, and it also has much of my art here. This is one of my most current digital renders that I did. I use several different applications for digital art. My go-to digital artwork program that I use mostly is Paint Shop Pro. It's made by a company named Corel, if you're not familiar with it. It's very similar to Photoshop, and there's a history why I didn't get into Photoshop. I can use it. I've used it in the past, and it's a beautiful program. When I was younger, I just couldn't afford Photoshop at the time. It was a lot more expensive than Paint Shop Pro at the time. I don't know. I assume it's still the same. But anyway, so that's my go-to digital art where I do a lot of mastering. My 3D work, or doing 3D rendering, I use a program that's now a little dated, by a company called Daz Studios. I don't believe it originally was Daz that started it. Somebody actually started that program, and it's called Bryce. Bryce is a 3D landscape rendering application. Like I said, it's a little bit older now. There's newer stuff out there, but I'm used to Bryce, and I can do a lot of things with it. Some people have noticed that it can be a little bit funky and crash if you don't do certain things, but I constantly hit Control S to save my work, so that in case it does crash, I'll have usually a most current copy. Every once in a while I'll forget to do that, and then I'll wind up having to redo something. But otherwise, I do like Bryce because of all of its capabilities. It's a very full-featured program. It has a lot of things it does that I like, and I'm used to it. So anyway, that's the program I use. It's called Bryce 7 Pro. It's 7.1 Pro, I believe, is the last version they came out with. Unfortunately, it's been like a discontinued product. Daz doesn't update it or support it. They support it. They do sell it, and you can still find a lot of materials for it and models and so forth. And you can import a lot of types of models, and we'll talk about 3D art and digital art later. Right now, this is more of an introductory video because we're just learning this stuff, and I'm just trying to introduce myself in this first video here, doing it with the screen capture software. But I will talk about many different things. If you subscribe to my channel, that would be great. Or leave me comments if you have questions. I'd be happy to get back to you if I can, and hopefully I can answer the question. But I don't claim to be an expert, but I do know enough to get myself in trouble. but I know doing a little bit about, because I've dabbled in art and photography, and both digital and traditional art. So anyway, we're going to basically in this video, because this is mostly just an introductory video about me. You can find me in other places. I'm also have an account on Renderosity. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's a website for people who are into 3D rendering. And I also have accounts on DeviantArt.com. It's under Danmar Creations. I use my name sometimes, Dan Seitzinger. Sometimes I use DMS Studios or Danmar Creations. Here's some more artwork that I've done. And here's a traditionally painted one. Actually, I have two here. There's a landscape. Here's a floral. Like I said, this is more of a very loosely painted impressionistic style. Artwork in floral painting. And then, because this is a traditional painted landscape, I actually just painted this on legal size paper using acrylic paint. And people ask me, do I prefer acrylic or do I prefer oil? And I can paint in either. I have no real preferences. They're just both different. And so acrylic dries really quickly, so you just have to make faster decisions. And they say oil is more forgiving. In a way, that's true, because oil paint does take longer to dry, so you can even go back the next day and soften things or change things, because the paint is still wet and movable. Whereas acrylic paint dries much quicker, and of course you can just paint right over, so it's forgiving in that sense that if it's dry already, you can just go ahead and paint some. If you don't like the way you painted something, or you don't care for something, instead of trying to wipe it off like you would normally do with oil paint with a paper towel, you just basically paint right over it. And so in a way, it's sort of forgiving that way. I also have an account on Flickr as well, and I do have, I think I did the same image here. I uploaded it to my Flickr account, and Flickr also has what's called a photo stream, I believe, where it shows all of your different artworks. Sorry that there's a kind of a delay here, and it just shows all my different artworks that I've posted over time. So anyway, if you're not familiar, this one was a very popular one. This is called Garden Pathway, and it's a kind of a fantasy piece, like an entrance to a palatial garden, and with gates, and I guess kind of similar to other artists that do that kind of work. What I like about Flickr is that you can actually zoom in on something. So you can click this little magnifying glass tool, and you really can get in there and look at the detail that's in the work. So this was a digital rendering that was done in Bryce, but I did add hand-painted flowers to it. So I can actually paint things traditionally and scan them in to my computer as an object that I can bring into my digital 3D application as a 2D plane, they call it. So anyway, we'll talk about all of that later, and I'll start maybe teaching a little bit about what I know about art, and I'm hoping you'll join me. So thank you very much for viewing my little video here, and I'm hoping this thing is capturing everything well, and thank you for joining me. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.